A number of you asked me this morning, aren't you nervous now talking after Rabbi Nosenwich's extraordinary sermon last night? Of course I am. I mean, wouldn't you? I'm just so grateful for that incredibly just brilliant and brave words that you shared with us last night. Now, there's a song from a number of years ago you're probably familiar with. It's called Don't Worry, Be Happy. The song was not written by a Jew. So I fixed it. Don't worry, be happy. Much better. But I really think that it should be worry and be happy. We are very, very good at worrying. I lettered in it in high school. It was the only thing I was good at. But not only is it possible to worry and to be happy at the same time, I would say that it's necessary to do both. We can't just worry. We can't just be miserable and scared and angry all the time because it's unhealthy and it's going to ruin all our lives and our relationships. And it is probably already having an impact on your relationships over the last year. And you may not even know it. You may not even realize how much anger you have been expressing toward your loved ones that you meant because of everything that's happening in the world. But it's starting to have an impact. We always talk about the idea of bocher b'chaim, that we need to choose life, but it's about choosing all of it. We know too much about sadness. I think it is critical to remember that we have a capacity for joy as well. We are still here because we never give up on that capacity for joy, that capacity for happiness, even in the worst of times. And before I continue, I want to make sure that I know that there are a lot of people who are struggling with serious issues and who need help, who need professional help, and we should never, ever make other people feel ashamed or feel less than for getting help. Telling someone to cheer up doesn't really help. Have you ever been in a situation where you told someone to either calm down or cheer up and it worked? Like, oh, thanks, Dad. That was great advice. I'm going to get on that right now. It doesn't help, and it probably hurts. And this has been such a difficult and painful time. I'm almost done, really. By the way, I love the sound of kids, the sound of the next generation. It's a beautiful thing. But I know it's been such a difficult time. It feels so easy to want to give up. But what I want to share, and maybe the most important thing that I can share with you today, is that no one will ever steal our joy. Because as soon as they steal our joy, they make us become them. And then we've lost. Every day that we're together, every day we find a moment of joy means another day that we've won as a people. And this isn't about faking it till you make it. It's about waking up what's already inside you, but maybe has been sleeping. And it's not about being in a good mood all the time. Right? No one can be in a good mood all the time. Bad moods are part of being human as well. But it's about remembering that there's always more to us than our pain, that our core, that our essence is good and generous and kind. And Judaism is filled with a lot of teachings and tools that really teach us about that essence. It is a mitzvah to enjoy your life. It's not just that you're allowed to enjoy your life when so many terrible things are happening in the world. You are obligated to enjoy your life, to appreciate your life. It's as much a commandment to celebrate a beautiful moment in life as it is to mourn a painful one. In fact, there's a discussion in the Talmud that if you see that there's a wedding going on and a funeral going on, which should you go to? You should go to the wedding. To help bring joy, to help bring happiness. The Jewish response to tragedy is simcha. Simcha is not the happiness that you have because of what is going on in the world. Simcha is something that comes from within you that says that the world matters, that things are still worth fighting for and living for. Every text and every source that I share with you was written in a time even worse than what we're going through now. The Talmud is written after the destruction of the temple. Jewish mysticism first really arises in a serious way after the expulsion from Spain. The Hasidic movement rises after the Khmelnytsky massacres in the 17th century in Ukraine. And even the renewal of Jewish mysticism now is after the Holocaust. Instead of giving into despair, we have chosen meaning and joy. Hebrew has approximately 14 words for happiness and joy. It has none for fun, though. We actually had to borrow those words. And you're telling me, what about kef or ala kefik? Nope, those are Arabic. What about sababa? Arabic. Hebrew has no words for fun. But lots of words for joy, which I will be going through in a little while. Even Yizkor is not just remembering who isn't here with us, which is very difficult and very challenging in so many ways, but Yizkor is also about remembering who we are, remembering who we truly are, that essential goodness, that essential kindness that sometimes gets covered by anger and by fear. I think we make better decisions in our lives when we come from a place of gratitude and joy. Even if things aren't great right now, it's the ability to envision a better world, a way to envision just a better sense of self, because ultimately it's that optimism that keeps us going as a people. There is no logical reason for us to be here as a people. Right? We should have died out a long time ago. After the Second Temple was destroyed and we went into exile, we should have said, this is it. We're done. There's no point. We will just disappear into history. Our being here said that we refuse to do that. We refuse to give up on the sense of meaning and joy in the world. There's even a discussion in the Talmud of whether it's permissible to laugh after such a time of tragedy. And the rabbi said, you can't be human without laughter. You can't be human without joy. And they're saying this at the ruins of the temple. These aren't people that everything was going okay in their lives, and they said, well, just cheer up, everything will be fine. These are people who saw their entire world in ruins. And they said, we still have to have laughter. Now, there are very few jokes in the Talmud. There are 3. And none of them are things I can share with you. But you can ask me after services. Apparently they had locker rooms in the time of the Talmud too. That's an entire, that's another story. But the fact is that they were willing to make jokes at the worst time. My father, who was a survivor, he said even in the camps, they made jokes at night. They made jokes because that's what human beings do. It's reminding yourself that things can be better, that you can approach things without despair. And when you do it that way, you can maybe see a better path to things. I mean, even in exile, the psalm that we sang is a psalm of joy, a psalm of return. It's a Shir HaMalot, which we say on every holiday that we eat on. And it talks about rejoicing. It's written in exile, but it's a dream of someday we will rejoice again, someday we will laugh again. And there are so many tools that we have, whether it's in our liturgy, a psalm of thanksgiving that we say every day, where it says, serve God with simcha and rinana, of joy and joyous songs, because that's what leads to true service. Shabbat is a very revolutionary idea, the idea that everyone is able to be happy, that everyone is entitled to have moments of just joy. Even our bodies are meant for pleasure, right? No matter what shape you're in, no matter how much, let's say, gravity has become a part of your life. You know, there are scientists who say we can't really prove gravity. It's like, I beg to differ. I have proof. Not sharing. But we're supposed to enjoy our physicality. God gave us bodies because we can enjoy the world. God created a beautiful world. Food is good. Like, it's not just for nutrition or self-loathing. It's for joy. The Psalms say, Tam'u ur'u ki tov Adonai. Taste and you will see that God is good, that there is goodness in the world. Again, our bodies may not be perfect, but they bring so much pleasure, even if we don't feel great. Rabbi Groner of blessed memory used to say, if it doesn't work, if it doesn't hurt, it probably doesn't work anymore. Right? It's okay. It doesn't have to be perfect. But just the fact that you're here is extraordinary. And to rejoice in that, I think, is so powerful. As I mentioned, there are 14 different names for joy. And I will go over them relatively briefly. First is simcha. Simcha is joy not just because what is happening, but maybe in spite of, that sense of resilience. But also think about the life cycle events that are a simcha. Sometimes you hear people say they're going to a mitzvah. And that's become, I hear people saying what they really mean is like they're going to a bar mitzvah party or something like that. You don't go to a mitzvah, you go to a simcha. A simcha is something joyous, something that brings the community together. And it's also a recognition that things change and we have to enjoy this moment as it is. There are other words, chadva, ditza, gila, rina. These are all things that we say at a wedding. Because it's a reminder that it's good to have people in your life, that it's good to be in community. We have nachas. Nachas is pretty common. It's actually a Hebrew word, nachat. Nachas means the joy you get in the accomplishments of other people. You can't have nachas for yourself. You can't say, oh, I got a promotion. Ugh, I have such nachas for myself. Nachas is the genuine joy at someone else, which is not easy because if someone got that promotion and you thought you were supposed to get the promotion, and you still have nachas anyway, that's important. Your ability to celebrate other people. There's sason, sahala. There are a lot of different words. What I want to share is that we have the sense that every different aspect of life is potentially celebrated, that can bring us a sense of meaning even when things are difficult. It's not, Judaism doesn't wait for things to be okay in order to celebrate. Because if we did, we would never celebrate. When was the last time everything was okay? Just give me a year. Here, let me help you. Never. Things are tough now. Things have been worse. Maybe things have been a little better. There has never been a great time in the history of ever for everyone. And not just for Jews, for anyone. You ask any people, when was the last time it was great for you? Now people say, well, in the old days things were great. It's like, no, that you just meant, well, actually I'm not going. We promised to stay out of politics. Life has always been tough. And if you wait to celebrate, you will never celebrate in your life. And even Maimonides who was not famous. Like Maimonides was never invited to a party. Like he was a very, very, very serious person. And even he says that when you feel joy in doing the right thing, that is the highest possible thing you can do. In fact, a number of the Hasidic rabbis said that as much as the tears of prayer are open, the gates of prayer are open through tears, the gates of prayer are kept open permanently because of a sense of joy. And again, it's not being naive about the world. It's not saying that everything is okay. It's looking at the world, at how difficult it is, how painful it is, and still remembering that what life is actually about and what we work toward is that sense of connection, that sense of gratitude, and that sense of joy in the world. Now, one of the things that you notice if you've been to a simcha is people do a lot of circle dancing. Now, there are a couple reasons for this. One is guys, when they dance, have two moves. One involves you got to bite your lower lip. I learned that at Joe Cornell as a kid. You get the occasional head nod. And the other is we only know how to dance left in a circle. It's like being in NASCAR. But there's actually a much, much deeper reason that I learned for why we do dancing in a circle. And it actually goes back to the time of the Talmud, where it says that in the next world, the righteous will dance with joy in a circle in front of God. And that what we do here at a simcha is we recreate that the righteous dance in the world to come, and so we dance now to connect to them and to think about our own sense of joy. And again, this was written at a time of tremendous destruction, a sense of despair, and it's said that if you dance, and whether it's literally or whether you dance with your life, it's like being in the next world. It's like being in Olam Haba. So I've been thinking about dancing. In the psalm that we say every day, it says, Hafachta mispadi l'macholi, petachta sakiv tazreni simcha. You have turned my mourning into dancing, and you have filled me with joy. So I was thinking about the Nova Festival, and I was thinking about October 7th, which was supposed to be a day of dancing. And how many of them are dancing in the next world? And how our joy can reach them, and how their joy can sustain us. No one will ever take away our joy, and we will all dance again. Shana Tova.